You're watching NBA Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Jayson. Coming up on today's show, an NBA news and rumors mailbag. Here at Chat Sports, we're all about the audience interaction, and we're all about making you a part of our shows. As part of that, we do these live mailbags where I take all of your questions. First question coming in from Steve Peterson. It's a $5 super chat. Thanks for supporting us here at Chat Sports. Do you see Anthony Edwards as a legit future superstar, MVP caliber player? Thoughts? He's really good. Now, the thing that I'd like to see Anthony Edwards kind of improve on is his consistency. And this was something that you saw last year. He can be really up and down. On some nights, my man can go off for a 40-piece wing dinner. On other nights, he's turning in a clunker going 5 of 15 from the floor for 15 points. Now, look, he's a very young player, still a teenager, and as he progresses, has the athletic ability and all-around game to truly be a superstar. And right now, I think he's on the cusp of being a superstar-type player. I don't think he's there yet, but in the future, Steve, I definitely think he can get there because this guy is just a special athlete who has pogo sticks his legs, who can get to a shot anywhere on the floor because of that aforementioned athletic ability, can get a shot off against a variety of defenders. And if he needs to carve you up off the dribble and get to the rack, he can do that as well. Sneakily, Timberwolves having a very good year. Marquis Robertson with this question. Jay Sr., Marquis Robertson, Russell Westbrook, and 2 first-round picks for Kyrie Irving and Nicolas Claxton. Honestly, I don't hate it for both sides. Now, Kyrie Irving, according to people close to him, has said in the past, hey, if I were to get traded, I would retire. And Kyrie, as we know, flat earther, flaky guy. You never know what's going on inside his ears. He's a really unpredictable cat. Special basketball player? Certainly. Gifted? No doubt. I think he has the best handle in the history of the NBA. He's one of the best finishers among guards that we've ever seen. A truly special player. And when he's on the court, he's fantastic. Ben Simmons going to Brookyln, if that vaccination status doesn't work out in the city of New York, could be interesting because Ben Simmons has showed a unwillingness to shoot the basketball. Doesn't have to worry about that with the Brooklyn Nets. He could play point guard, be in that Draymond Green type of role as a point forward as well with Kevin Durant, James Harden, and for Kyrie Irving going to Philadelphia, he'd be a nice fit alongside Joel Embiid, in my opinion. That was a $5 super chat. Albern Reed, thank you so much. We did see that come in. Thank you for that $5 super chat. You didn't say anything, but you said something with this question. We appreciate that. Guaranteed to answer your questions during these bags if you do super chat us. Who is a realistic trade that Boston can make to be a contender this year? Damian Lillard? You team up Bradley Beal with his childhood friend, Jayson Tatum. Both of them went to Chaminade Academy, grew up in the St. Louis area. Those are the trades that really move the needle for Boston. They need a point guard. So if they're able to get a good point guard out there on the open market, De'Aaron Fox, that could intrigue me too. They need to make some roster upgrades, though, because they're way too reliant on 2 players at the same position in Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum. Derek Kells, Mitchell Robinson, RJ Barrett, Kevin Knox, and a first-round pick for Domantas Sabonis or Cat. I know in the past we've talked about the Minnesota Timberwolves making trades. I don't think it's going to happen. They've been sneakily a good team this year. So I don't think that they're going to sell, and I don't think they're going to mortgage the farm. Loyal Jaguars fan since 2015. If you have a girlfriend, she must really like you because you're invested. That's for damn sure. And you're loyal. CJ McCollum for Jerami Grant. Is that a good trade? If you keep Robert Covington, you have Robert Covington and Jerami Grant, who I think play the same position and are similar type of players. And for Damian Lillard, he just needs another co-star. And I don't think it comes in the way of CJ McCollum. Would it come in the way of Jerami Grant? I tend to have some doubts about that. It is a good question, though, because Jerami Grant is on the trade block and CJ McCollum is as well. So appreciate that question. Loyal Jaguars fan since 2015. Hire Doug Peterson. That's my vote. Who is the worst team in the NBA? That is going to be the pinned comment on today's mailbag. So be sure to get those votes in. And this is going to be the pinned comment, as I mentioned. So if you get hit with that YouTube ad break, scroll on down, get your votes in. By the time you do that, we'll be back breaking down these questions. Alex Lancaster. Yo, Chase. Yo, Alex. The NBA MVP race is very interesting. Who do you think gets it? I think it's a grouping of players right now who have set themselves apart from the pack. And going into the year, Luka Doncic was the favorite. Right now, I think it's a combination in no particular order of Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, the Joker, DeMar DeRozan, and Chris Paul. I think all of those players are in the mix, and then outside of that, it really is just a rest of the horse type of race. Craig Black, the Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum need to be broken up. It's a question that a lot of people have because the last 2 years they've been floating in mediocrity and they've been about a 500 basketball team. And I have questions about their on-court fit because they have very similar styles. At the end of games, it's like the Celtics don't know who to go to down the stretch because both of them want the ball, but both of them don't really make each other better. And while I like both of them from a two-way perspective because I think Tatum and Brown are both very good defenders, offensively, things can just get clunky sometimes. Now, I don't think a trade is going to happen this year. Next year, couple of years, I wouldn't rule it out. Jake Sniper Money. That's a great name right there. You're probably a sniper when you're playing pickup. Once Clay comes back, ain't nobody in the NBA beating the Warriors. By the way, we have a Warriors channel, youtube.com/WarriorsTV. Subscribe. We just surpassed 25,000 subscribers. Now, I agree with you in this sense. If Klay Thompson comes back and he is close to the elite Klay that we saw before the torn ACL and torn Achilles, then yeah, I think the Warriors can be very good. Now, I have some concerns about them in the front court, and that's without James Wiseman. So when James Wiseman comes back, are they going to fare better against a center like Joel Embiid, who carved them up in the second half of that game in Philly a couple weeks ago? Can they fare against a player like DeAndre Ayton, who is very, very good, and the Warriors in those two matchups have not had an answer for? That's my question. Klay Thompson helps you defensively. He helps you offensively. If he gets back to the normal Klay or close to that, yeah, Warriors going to be dangerous. I think it's them and the Suns as the top two teams in the NBA right now. Stephen Lehman, do the Knicks need to make a trade or are they good where they are? It's crazy how fast the Knicks have fallen over the last several weeks, not just the last couple of weeks. They got off to that nice start, and I'm like, yo, I like how the Knicks are playing. They're playing with a team brand of basketball, but ever since that hot start, they have fallen off. They're dropped to 12th place in the Eastern Conference as we record this during our live show on Wednesday, December 22nd. In their last 10 games, they are 3-7. They are 14-17. And over the span of the last month, they've won 2 consecutive games one time. That ain't good for a New York Knicks team that had high aspirations going into this year. Really serious question. The most pressing question that I will ever ask you, in fact. Which league has the worst referees? Is it the NFL? Type NFL. Is it the NBA? Type NBA. Embrace debate, and you let me know right now. This NBA mailbag brought to you by our sportsbook partner, BetUS, the best deal that any sportsbook has to offer, and these are simply facts because I would never mislead you with any fake news. Chatsports.com/bet. Then enter the promo code, chat125. Upon sign up, you get a 125% deposit bonus, only if you use that link in that promo code. What that means is you put $100 into your account, you get an additional $125 back. That's $225 to game and wager with. No other sportsbook is offering that. And the best news of the day, this applies for anybody, no matter where you live. King X, would a player like DeJounte Murray be a good fit for the Celtics, and what would it take to acquire him? A lot. DeJounte Murray is good. I think the Sixers could trade for him in a package that would include Ben Simmons. Who do the Celtics have Ben Simmons caliber outside of Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown, who they're not going to give up? Now, DeJounte Murray goes to the Boston Celtics. I think that immediately makes them a factor in the Eastern Conference. Makes them a really interesting team on that side of the league. But do they have the trade assets? Who do you give up? I mean, who do you give up? Dennis Schroeder on an expiring contract? Marcus Smart, good defender, spotty offensive player. Aaron Nesmith, who really is just okay. Peyton Pritchard. I mean, not a lot of options if you're Boston as far as trade candidates outside of their elite players. No one. You are somebody. Don't let anybody ever tell you that. No, none? Well, you are something. All right? How far away are the Spurs from being able to become a contender again? Far away. Far away. I like some of their young pieces headlined by DeJounte Murray And they do a good job of developing players, but they're nowhere close to what they once were under that Greg Popovich-led dynasty era with Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, Tim Duncan. I remember watching David Robinson back in the day. I mean, they were a phenomenal bunch who had a blend of superstars who were complementary players and selfless players, but also did such a good job as a front office of surrounding them with the necessary pieces. L2 Clouds, DeMar's the best mid-range shooter. He is. And I've had a problem, bear down by the way, he's a big Bears fan, L2 Clouds is. I've had a problem with DeMar DeRozan's offensive game at times because in the modern day NBA, I think you need to be able to stretch the floor and knock down some threes. And DeRozan hasn't done a lot of that. He hasn't. And this year he's been a very good mid-range shooter, and because he's just been going off on a nightly basis, he's in the conversation for MVP. Christy Wilson, I kind of like what the Rockets have going on in Houston. I love what they did in the draft. I really do. They were able, in the first top 25 picks, able to get Jaylen Green, an uber-athletic scoring wing, Josh Christopher, Usman Garuba, Alperen Şengün, and those are all really good pieces, on top of Christian Wood, who you got for a very good price, and Kevin Porter Jr. The Rockets got off to a bad start this year. They've been much better the last few weeks, and I think the arrow is certainly pointing up for that franchise. That's a good point, Christy. Blake Hernandez, what's a bigger threat in the West? Lakers or the Warriors? Warriors. It's not even close. Lakers right now are frauds. Lakers right now are front runners. Lakers right now are phonies. Any of you who disagree with me, you're lying to yourself. That team is so flawed right now. VanNegro Jones, my trade idea. Wizards get Tyrese Halliburton. Last 5 games, he's been balling, by the way. Buddy Hield, Philadelphia 2022 first, and the Philadelphia 76ers get Bradley Beal, and the Sacramento Kings get Ben Simmons. Shoot, I like it. The Wizards get a couple of really good young pieces in Halliburton and Hield. You allow Halliburton to kind of run point alongside Spencer Dinwiddie. Philadelphia, you get there first. Sixers get a superstar in Beal, and Sacramento gets a player they can build around. That's pretty good. Might have to use it in a future video. I'm going to bookmark that. Evan Hinders, Timberwolves trade 3 first-round picks for Marvin Bagley and Buddy Hield. You don't have to give up 3 first-round picks for those guys. You just don't. And if you're the Timberwolves, you already didn't have a draft pick in that trade, D'Angelo Russell for Andrew Wiggins this past draft. And it would have been, what was that, top 10, I believe? I think it ended up being number 7. You don't want to give up future draft capital. And Timberwolves, have been pretty damn good this year. Let me know, last question for you in this mailbag, who has the best handles of all time in the NBA? Allen Iverson, Kyrie Irving? If I'm wrong, shout me out, let me know, and drop me some names.